Most family conflicts happen over small things: money, jealousy, favoritism, petty arguments. But what my own blood brother did to me, what my own parents allowed and enabled for my entire childhood and adulthood, is something that still shocks me to this day. When my beloved grandmother passed away, she left me a life-changing inheritance. It was money she saved for me alone, property she bought in my name, a lifelong nest egg she spent decades building just to secure my future. She knew I would need it. She knew I was the responsible, grateful, hard-working grandchild who would honor her gift. But the second my brother found out about my inheritance, he didn't thank our grandma. He didn't feel happy for me. He didn't acknowledge my lifelong sacrifice and obedience to our family. He simply looked me dead in the eye, with zero shame, zero guilt, and zero gratitude, and told me plainly, "You have to give me all of it. I'm the only man in the family. This family's wealth belongs to the son, not the daughter." He demanded my entire inheritance. Not half. Not a portion. All of it. Simply because he was born male. And the worst part? My parents agreed with him completely. They pressured me, guilt-tripped me, threatened me, and begged me to hand over every single dollar and every asset I had inherited, just to satisfy my brother's endless sense of entitlement. They told me I was selfish, unfilial, cold-hearted, and ungrateful if I kept what was legally and rightfully mine. They told me daughters don't need inheritance. Daughters marry out of the family. Daughters don't carry the family name. Only sons deserve family wealth. For months, I endured endless family harassment, manipulation, emotional blackmail, and brutal favoritism. I watched my own family choose my entitled, lazy, irresponsible brother over their loyal, hard-working, dependable daughter. But what happened next? I did not back down. I did not sacrifice my future for his ego. I stood my ground, fought for what was mine, and exposed every single toxic double standard my family had hidden for decades. The ending of this story will make every person who's ever suffered from gender-based family favoritism feel seen, validated, and finally vindicated. This is my full, true story. Every detail is real. Every wound is genuine. Every lesson is hard-earned. Chapter 1, Full Childhood Background, Toxic Family Dynamic Establishment, Extended Slow Pacing. To understand how insane this inheritance battle became, you first need to understand how my family operated from the very day my brother was born. I am 3 years older than my brother. For the first 3 years of my life, I was my parents' only child. I was doted on, loved, photographed, celebrated. I had my parents' full attention, full affection, and full resources. I grew up believing my family was equal, fair, and loving. The day my brother was born, everything changed overnight. In my parents' eyes, and especially my father's eyes, my brother was not just a new baby. He was the miracle son, the family heir, the only true child who mattered. I instantly went from being the beloved only daughter to the extra child, the replaceable daughter, the temporary filler before the family's real treasure arrived. From the age of 3, I was taught my place in the family. My brother wanted toys? He got them instantly. I wanted toys? I was told I was too old, I didn't need them, I should save money for my brother's future. My brother cried? Everyone dropped everything to comfort him, feed him, spoil him, apologize to him. I cried? I was told I was dramatic, sensitive, noisy, and selfish for ruining my brother's mood. My brother made mistakes, broke things, lied, or threw tantrums? My parents excused it all. They said boys will be boys, sons are naturally naughty, sons are the future of the family, we have to tolerate them and spoil them. I made the smallest mistake, forgot a chore, or spoke out of turn? I was severely lectured, scolded, punished, and reminded repeatedly that I had to be perfect, obedient, selfless, and sacrificial for my brother. This was not occasional favoritism. This was systematic, daily, lifelong gender favoritism that shaped every single choice my family ever made. Growing up, I was the child who did all the housework. I cleaned the house, washed the dishes, did the laundry, cooked simple meals, took care of my brother, helped him with his homework, woke him up for school, packed his bag, and apologized for his mistakes. My brother never lifted a single finger at home. He never cleaned, never cooked, never helped, never took care of anyone. His only job in life, according to my parents, was to be the son and carry the family legacy. Everything else was my responsibility. Even in school and education, the double standard was brutal and obvious. I was an excellent student my entire life. I had top grades, perfect attendance, good behavior, multiple awards, and I never gave my parents a single problem. I was reliable, disciplined, and hardworking. My brother was a below-average student. He skipped classes, procrastinated, lied about his grades, disrespected teachers, got into fights, and wasted countless opportunities my parents handed him for free. Yet my parents always said the same sentence. It doesn't matter how well you do. Your brother is our son. His future is the family's future. Your success doesn't count if your brother doesn't succeed. I was expected to sacrifice my tutoring money for his gaming money. I was expected to give up my new school supplies so he could have better ones. I was expected to take the bus to school so my parents could drive my brother comfortably. I was expected to eat less, spend less, ask for less, so my brother could have more, want more, and take more. As a child, I thought this was normal. I thought all older sisters had to sacrifice for their younger brothers. I thought family love meant giving everything and expecting nothing in return. I thought if I was good enough, obedient enough, and sacrificial enough, my parents would finally see my effort and love me equally. I spent my entire childhood trying to earn my parents' love, while my brother spent his entire childhood simply existing and being praised for it. Chapter 2, Grandma's Different Perspective, the only person who protected me. The only person in my entire family who never treated me like a second-class child was my maternal grandmother. Grandma was a tough, hard-working, independent woman who raised her children through poverty and hardship. She never believed sons were superior to daughters. She never believed girls should sacrifice their lives for boys' egos. She always told me one thing from the time I was little. Your hard work belongs only to you. Your future belongs only to you. No one, not even family, has the right to take what you build. Grandma watched every single unfair thing my parents did to me. She watched me do all the housework while my brother played games. She watched me give up my favorite things for my brother's greed. She watched my parents praise my brother's laziness and scold my diligence. She was always furious about it. She always defended me, comforted me, and told me not to let anyone take advantage of my kindness. When I was a teenager, my parents wanted me to drop my after-school tutoring classes to save money for my brother's new gaming console. Grandma immediately stepped in and paid for all my classes herself. She told my parents directly, "This girl studies hard. You will not ruin her future for your son's selfishness." When my birthday came and my parents forgot completely but bought my brother expensive sneakers for no reason, Grandma secretly saved money and gave me birthday gifts, birthday red envelopes, and warm meals to make up for my parents' neglect. Grandma always said, "My granddaughter is smarter, kinder, more responsible, and more reliable than your son. She deserves the best future, not a life of sacrifice for others." As I grew older, I fully understood how much Grandma loved and valued me. While my parents saw me as a temporary family member who would eventually marry and leave the house, Grandma saw me as an independent, worthy person who deserved stability, wealth, security, and a bright future. When I graduated high school and entered college, my parents told me bluntly that they would not support my college living expenses fully. They said daughters do not need high education, and they needed all their money to save for my brother's future house and marriage. Once again, Grandma stepped in. She covered most of my college expenses. She supported my studies, encouraged my career, and continuously saved money for me year after year. She told me she was saving for my independence, my emergency fund, my future house, and my freedom. She said she didn't want me to ever be trapped by family pressure, forced to rely on a man, or forced to sacrifice my life for my brother's incompetence. That was the beginning of my inheritance story. Grandma spent over 15 years slowly accumulating assets for me. She saved cash, bought a small apartment in my name, invested small funds, and kept everything strictly confidential. She did not tell my parents. She did not tell my brother. She only told me, repeatedly, that this money and property was mine and mine alone, no exceptions. Chapter 3, Brothers Growing Entitlement, Golden Child Syndrome fully developed. While I was growing up humble, hardworking, grateful, and independent, my brother was growing up spoiled, entitled, lazy, and completely dependent on our family. Because my parents gave him everything without any effort on his part, he never learned responsibility. He never learned hard work. He never learned gratitude. In high school, he skipped school constantly, played online games all night, disrespected teachers, and failed most of his exams. My parents never punished him. They simply paid for expensive cram schools, begged teachers for mercy, and told him he was still the family's hope no matter how bad his grades were. In college, he partied every night, spent money recklessly, borrowed money from friends, and never focused on his studies. He failed multiple courses and almost got suspended. My parents still excused his behavior, saying boys mature late, boys have big futures, and boys need to enjoy their youth. After graduation, he refused to work hard. He refused entry-level jobs because they were too tiring and too low status. He stayed at home sleeping late, playing games, eating my parents' food, spending my parents' money, and complaining that the world owed him a good life. Even so, my parents never stopped praising him. They kept telling everyone that their son was talented, ambitious, and destined for great things. They kept telling me that I needed to work harder, save more money, and prepare to support my brother's future career and marriage. My brother's sense of entitlement became absolutely insufferable. He believed simply being born male made him superior to me. He believed all family resources, all family assets, all family support, and all family sacrifices should automatically belong to him. He thought my hard work was meaningless. He thought my achievements were trivial. He thought my future was secondary, disposable, and unimportant compared to his. Many times in arguments, he said directly to my face, "You're just a girl. You'll marry someone else's family sooner or later. All the family's money and property should belong to me. You don't deserve any of it." At that time, I argued back. I told him fairness exists in family love. I told him hard work deserves reward. I told him gender should never determine worth. But my parents always sided with him. They always told me to tolerate him, understand him, yield to him, and prioritize him. This toxic mindset was deeply rooted in my family long before Grandma passed away and long before the inheritance issue exploded. Chapter 4, Grandma's Passing, The Inheritance is Officially Mine. Last year, Grandma passed away peacefully after a short illness. It was the saddest period of my entire life. Grandma was my biggest supporter, my safest harbor, my truest family love. Before she passed, she finalized all her legal documents with a lawyer. She made a clear, official will. Every single asset she had accumulated over decades was left exclusively to me. The inheritance included a fully paid small urban apartment, a large cash savings fund, fixed deposit investments, and personal valuable assets she had collected over the years. The lawyer explained everything clearly in front of my parents and me. According to legal procedures and Grandma's last will, all assets belong solely and legally to me. No other family member has any right to claim, divide, or occupy any part of it. My parents were shocked at first. They had no idea Grandma had saved so much for me. They had always assumed Grandma would leave most of her assets to my brother, the only grandson in the family. For the first few days after the will announcement, my parents kept quiet. They were in shock, processing the fact that Grandma had intentionally favored me, the granddaughter, over the grandson. I was extremely emotional during this time. I didn't feel excited about the money. I only felt sad and grateful. Grandma spent her whole life saving and planning just to give me a stable future, so I would never have to rely on anyone, never have to beg my family for resources, never have to sacrifice myself for others. I promised myself I would honor Grandma's gift by living well, building my future steadily, and never wasting her lifelong effort. But my brother's reaction was completely different. The second he found out the full amount of my inheritance and the apartment under my name, he flew into a rage. He was furious, resentful, and completely unwilling to accept the result. He could not tolerate the fact that a female family member had received family assets that he believed exclusively belonged to him by birthright. Chapter 5, Brother's First Shocking Demand. I'm the only man in the family. 1 week after Grandma's funeral, my brother cornered me alone in our living room. His face was cold, angry, and extremely entitled. He did not offer condolences. He did not mention Grandma's kindness. He did not thank me for taking care of Grandma during her illness. He went straight to the point and said firmly, "You need to transfer all the inheritance to me. Every dollar, every property, everything." I was stunned. I asked him in shock, "Why?" "This is Grandma's gift to me. It's legally mine. It's all she saved for my future." That's when he said the most arrogant, ridiculous, and shameless sentence I have ever heard in my life. Because I'm the only man in the family. I'm the only grandson, the only heir, the only one who carries the family name. All family wealth belongs to me by right. You are a daughter. You don't deserve family inheritance. I couldn't believe my ears. I was furious and confused. I argued back immediately, "Grandma chose to give this to me. She worked hard for this money. She decided who deserves it. Gender doesn't give you automatic ownership of other people's hard work." My brother sneered at me with absolute arrogance. Grandma was old-fashioned and confused before she passed. She made a mistake. The family cannot let a daughter take away all the family assets. It will ruin the family's future. As the only man, I have to take responsibility for the family's wealth. You have to give it to me. He continued his shameless logic without any pause. You will get married sooner or later. Once you marry, you belong to another family. If you take this inheritance away, our family loses all its wealth. I am the one who will stay in this family forever, carry the family name, take care of my parents in old age, and continue the family line. Therefore, everything must be mine. I stood there in complete disbelief. This man had done nothing for the family. He had no filial piety, no responsibility, no hard work, no achievements. Yet he believed his gender alone made him entitled to Grandma's decades of savings and my inheritance. Chapter 6, Parents fully side with my brother, brutal family manipulation. What hurt me far more than my brother's greed was my parents' immediate and complete support for his absurd demand. As soon as my brother told my parents about the inheritance, they immediately stood on his side and began pressuring me day and night. My mom started the emotional blackmail first. She cried, sighed, and repeated the same old lines every single day. "Daughter, you have to understand your brother is the only son in our family. Our whole family's hope rests on him. You can't take all the family wealth away from him. You're a girl. You will have a husband to support you in the future. Your brother has no one but us. You have to sacrifice for him." Grandma was too partial before she passed. She didn't think about the big picture of the family. You can't follow her wrong decision. My father was even tougher and more unreasonable. He spoke to me in a stern, commanding tone, as if I owed my brother everything by birth. "Hand over the inheritance to your brother immediately. This is family property. Family property belongs to the male heir. Daughters have no share. If you keep this money and apartment for yourself, you are being selfish, unfilial, and destroying your brother's future. You will be the sinner of this family." For an entire month, my family turned my daily life into hell. At breakfast, they lectured me. At dinner, they guilt-tripped me. Late at night, they knocked on my door to persuade me. Every family conversation revolved around forcing me to give my inheritance to my brother. They listed every excuse they could create to justify my brother's greed. They said my brother needed money for his future marriage house. They said my brother needed capital to start a business. They said my brother needed savings to support his future life. They said I was young, capable, and could earn money again, while my brother was fragile and needed family support. They completely ignored the truth. I was the one who had always been capable, independent, and hardworking. My brother was the one who was lazy, dependent, and ungrateful. They ignored Grandma's last will, ignored legal rules, ignored decades of my sacrifice, and ignored my future security. All they cared about was satisfying their golden son's endless sense of entitlement. Chapter 7, Brothers' Escalated Threats and Double Standards, Full Detailed Conflict. When I refused to compromise and firmly stated I would never hand over my inheritance, my brother's attitude turned from arrogant negotiation to vicious resentment and threats. He stopped pretending to be reasonable and showed his true ugly nature completely. He yelled at me during family arguments, "You are stealing my family property. If you don't give me what belongs to me, I will never let you have peace in this family." He threatened to block my future marriage, to badmouth me to all relatives, to ruin my reputation, and to make me the unfilial daughter of the entire extended family. He even said shamelessly, "You don't need a house or savings. Once you marry, your husband will provide everything for you. But I have no one. You must support me." The double standards were absolutely insane and unbearable. My brother refused to work hard, refused to take responsibility, refused to save money, refused to endure hardship. He spent money freely, played games all day, and relied entirely on my parents' support. Yet he believed his laziness entitled him to my inheritance. I worked hard since I was a child, studied diligently, lived frugally, never asked my family for extra money, and built my independence step by step. Yet I was told I was selfish for keeping what was legally mine. He believed being male automatically granted him ownership of every valuable thing in the family. He believed being female automatically sentenced me to lifelong sacrifice for his benefit. During one of our worst fights, I finally asked my brother and parents the core question directly. What exactly have you done to deserve this inheritance? What sacrifices have you made for Grandma? What hard work have you put into this family? Why do you deserve Grandma's lifelong savings simply because you were born male? My brother had no valid answer at all. He simply repeated his broken record sentence. Because I'm the only man in the family. That was his entire logic. No hard work, no gratitude, no contribution, no responsibility, only gender privilege. Chapter 8, My Inner Struggle, Family Guilt versus Self-Respect. During those long, painful months, I experienced severe inner conflict and emotional torture. On one side was my family, the people who raised me, the people I had respected and obeyed my entire life. They constantly told me I was wrong, selfish, and ungrateful for keeping my inheritance. They gathered relatives to persuade me, bombarded me with family ethics, and made me feel guilty every single day. For a short period of time, I almost doubted myself. I almost wondered if family ethics really required daughters to sacrifice everything for sons. But every time I looked at Grandma's last will, every time I remembered Grandma's lifelong effort for me, every time I recalled how my family had favored my brother and exploited me for decades, I woke up from the guilt. I realized a cruel truth. Family love should never be one-sided sacrifice. Fairness should never be based on gender. Hard work and gratitude should always be the standard of reward, not birth gender. I realized that if I gave in this time, I would fall into a lifelong trap. My family would forever see me as the unlimited sacrifice tool for my brother. They would forever believe my future, my property, my money, and my life can be taken away for my brother's benefit. If I yielded once, I would have to yield forever. So I made my final decision: I would never hand over a single cent of my inheritance. I would never sacrifice Grandma's lifelong effort for my brother's selfish greed. I would choose my future over toxic family favoritism. Chapter 9, Final Showdown, I refuse completely. On the day of the final family showdown, all my close relatives were gathered at my parents' house. My parents specially invited uncles and aunts to pressure me collectively, hoping public family pressure would force me to compromise. My brother sat confidently on the sofa, completely sure that the whole family would stand on his side and force me to give him everything. My dad opened the conversation with a stern tone. Today everyone is here to persuade you. For the sake of the family unity and your brother's future, you must transfer all inheritance to your brother. This is the only correct choice for a daughter. My mom started crying again. Don't be so stubborn. Don't ruin your brother's life. Your brother is our only hope. You have to be sensible. Relatives began chiming in one after another, repeating the same old toxic family values. Daughters should be selfless, sons should inherit everything, family is more important than personal rights, and I should sacrifice for family harmony. After everyone finished speaking, the whole room fell silent, waiting for my surrender. I stood up slowly, looked at every family member in the room, and spoke firmly, calmly, and clearly without any hesitation. I will never give a single dollar of my inheritance to my brother. This property and money belong to me legally. It is Grandma's last gift to protect my future. It is the result of Grandma's decades of hard work and savings. No one has the right to take it from me. My brother's only reason for asking for my inheritance is that he is male. But gender is never a qualification for reward. Hard work, gratitude, responsibility, and contribution are. My brother has never contributed to this family. He has never taken care of Grandma. He has never endured hardship. He has never worked hard. He has only been spoiled, lazy, and dependent. He does not deserve a penny of this inheritance. For my entire life, I have sacrificed, compromised, yielded, and tolerated for this family. I have been the sensible child, the hardworking child, the sacrificial child long enough. I will no longer sacrifice my future for anyone's greed. If family harmony requires me to give up my legal rights, give up my future security, and give up Grandma's last protection for me, then I do not want this kind of fake family harmony. My brother's face turned red with rage. He shouted angrily, "You are destroying the family. You are selfish. You have no family affection." I looked straight at him and replied coldly, "I am not destroying the family. You are destroying the family with your endless greed and gender privilege. You want to take other people's hard work without paying any price. That is shameless, not family affection." I finally said to my parents and all relatives, "From today on, I will keep all my inheritance legally and completely. Anyone who continues to pressure me, threaten me, or guilt-trip me for this issue is not loving family. You are just supporting unfair privilege and exploiting the obedient daughter." Chapter 10, Family Backlash and Consequences, Full Aftermath Details. After my firm refusal, my family completely turned against me. My parents were extremely angry. They called me cold-blooded, unfilial, and heartless. They refused to talk to me for months, gave me the cold shoulder at home, and even threatened to cut off all family relations with me. My brother completely lost his temper. He cursed me, accused me of stealing his future, and spread rumors to all relatives that I was a greedy, ungrateful daughter who abandoned her family for money. Some traditional relatives sided with my parents and brother, criticizing me publicly for being stubborn and not understanding family ethics. For a period of time, I endured huge family pressure, public misunderstanding, and emotional loneliness. I was isolated by my own family simply because I refused to give up my legal rights. But even during the hardest days, I never regretted my decision. I knew very clearly, regretting would mean betraying Grandma's last wish. Regretting would mean sentencing myself to a lifetime of being exploited by my family and my irresponsible brother. Chapter 11, The Truth Comes Out, Brother's Hidden Irresponsibility. 3 months after the huge family conflict, a shocking truth came out, completely proving how correct my choice was. My brother had been hiding huge personal debts from the entire family. He had been gambling online, borrowing online loans, and overspending recklessly for years. He owed tens of thousands of dollars in external debt that he never told our parents about. The real reason he desperately wanted my entire inheritance was not for marriage, not for starting a business, not for family future. He wanted my money to pay off his private gambling debts and loan debts. He wanted to use Grandma's hard-earned savings and my future security to cover his own self-created mess. When the debt collectors called my parents repeatedly and threatened to take legal action, my brother finally panicked and confessed everything. My parents were completely stunned and heartbroken. They had spoiled this son for decades, excused all his faults, sacrificed their daughter's future for his so-called family future, yet their precious golden son was secretly accumulating huge debts and self-destructing. In that moment, all their favoritism collapsed completely. They finally realized the cruel reality they had been blind to for 20 years. The obedient, sensible, hard-working daughter they had always exploited was the only reliable person in the family. The spoiled, entitled, privileged son they had worshipped was the real disaster of the family. Chapter 12, Parents' Regret and Brother's Defeat, Final Justice. After the truth was exposed, my brother lost all his confidence and arrogance. He had no face to continue asking me for my inheritance. He had no excuse to continue blaming me. He was forced to admit his greed, his laziness, his irresponsibility, and his shameless attempt to steal my inheritance to cover his own mistakes. My parents fell into deep self-blame and regret. They finally saw how unfair they had been to me for my entire life. They finally realized how much they had sacrificed my happiness, my future, and my rights just to satisfy their son's empty gender privilege. They came to me sincerely to apologize, crying and admitting their decades of wrong education, wrong favoritism, and wrong family values. They said, "We were blinded by traditional prejudice. We wronged you, pressured you, and hurt you. We finally see clearly who is truly filial and responsible for this family." Many relatives who previously criticized me also changed their attitudes completely. They began to praise my rationality, my independence, and my wisdom in refusing to hand over my inheritance. Everyone finally understood, if I had foolishly given my entire inheritance to my brother, all of Grandma's savings would have been wasted on his gambling debts and reckless spending. My future would have been ruined for no reason, and my brother would never have learned his lesson. Chapter 13, Long-Term Life Reflection and Deep Life Lessons, Extended Conclusion. Today, looking back on this whole family drama, I have extremely deep and thorough life lessons to share with every person watching this video. First of all, gender privilege in family is the most toxic, unreasonable, and destructive prejudice in the world. No one deserves wealth, resources, or success simply because they are male. No one deserves to sacrifice their life, future, and rights simply because they are female. Reward should always belong to hard work, responsibility, gratitude, and contribution. Never to gender, birth order, or false family legacy concepts. Second, spoiled golden children never grow up. They only grow more entitled. When a family blindly favors one child and sacrifices another, they do not cultivate a successful heir. They cultivate a lazy, greedy, irresponsible person who cannot survive independently in society. Blind family favoritism ruins both children. It ruins the sacrificed child's mental health and future security, and it ruins the favored child's character and sense of responsibility. Third, your legal rights and future security are never selfishness. Many obedient daughters are trapped by fake family ethics. They are told keeping their own property is selfish, refusing to sacrifice is cold-blooded, and protecting their future is unfilial. But the truth is, protecting your legally obtained assets, protecting your future stability, and protecting the kindness your loved ones left for you is not selfish. It is self-respect, self-protection, and wisdom. True family affection is mutual dedication, mutual understanding, and mutual gratitude. It is never one person's lifelong sacrifice for another person's lifelong greed. Fourth, always trust the people who truly value your effort, not the people who only value your sacrifice. Grandma valued me for who I was, for my hard work, my kindness, and my independence. She gave me inheritance to protect my freedom and future. My parents and brother only valued me for what I could give them. They loved my sacrifice, not me. Always remember, people who truly love you will plan for your future. People who exploit you will only ask you to give more. Final closing, emotional resonance and YouTube interaction. My story is not unique. Thousands of girls grow up in families where sons are treated as automatic heirs and daughters are treated as sacrificial tools. How many of you have heard the same ridiculous sentence, "He's the only man in the family, so everything belongs to him"? How many of you have been pressured to sacrifice your money, your future, your opportunities, and your rights for your brother or male family members? How many of you have been called selfish just for protecting what is legally and rightfully yours? Leave your true feelings and similar experiences in the comment section below. Let every overlooked, sacrificed, and unvalued daughter know that your hard work matters, your future matters, and your rights never need to be sacrificed for anyone's false privilege. If you think this story is eye-opening and meaningful, like, share, and subscribe for more true family stories that expose toxic family values and awaken self-worth. Always remember, your life is yours. Your inheritance is yours. Your future is yours. No one, not even family, can take it away from you with unreasonable gender excuses.